Welcome to the GuestX podcast, where my co-host Brian Hamawi and I uncover the latest technologies and human-driven initiatives that are raising customer expectations and forever changing how we define customer experience across a host of industries. If you are passionate about creating incredible content and unique experiences, join us as we talk to leading product and experience experts across the globe and learn about how today's most successful brands are setting themselves apart from the competition. Welcome to the GuestX podcast. I'm Matthew Loney here with my co-host Brian Hamawi. Brian in Florida. I am here in Europe getting ready for the Focusrite Europe conference, which is going to be a lot of fun. How are things in Orlando?
Things are good.
Yeah,
sunny, hot.
It's getting
We're
warm.
Into summer.
You're getting into summer. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. How is the traffic? How's the traffic been across the pond? I met with Hat Tourism, I don't know, a couple weeks ago when I was over here in London, and they definitely felt like over the last couple of weeks they had started to see. Yeah, I can tell you, we hadn't bought our plane tickets back yet, and I need to get on. I mean, they just keep creeping up. I think the last I saw was like $1,600 to get home. I almost feel like I'm going to be left a man without a country if I can't afford to get back into mine.
You might as well just stay where you are.
That's right. Oh, darn, right? Yeah. How are things? Okay?
Yeah, things are good. It's picking up. Definitely feeling the summer season. Starting to see the tourism come back. So summer's going to be strong. I think it'll be good.
Well, good. Well, I tell you, it's a good segue because nothing screams summer than amusement parks and water parks. So I would say a good segue to our guest today, which I'm really excited about. Again, we've done a little bit in this space, but I think, when you think about hospitality and you think about these amusement parks, I mean, they're really the epitome of guest experience. I mean, that's what they are selling, is a day of experience for the families and stuff. So I think in many ways, a lot of what they do, you usually see bleeding over into, industries like ours, lodging and things like that. So why don't you go ahead and give our guest a little intro today? We'll jump into it.
Yeah, I'm excited for today's guest. We have Tim Murphy. He is a strategic executive with over 30 years of international experience as CEO, president, COO, CFO, and advisor to over 150 brands with 10,000 locations. His specialty is improving performance of entertainment, restaurants, food and beverage, retail, and other industries. Tim is the CEO of Boomers. He's on the board of directors for Coney Park, Family Entertainment, Restaurants, and Food and Beverage. There are so many C's in there. I don't know what to do.
There's a lot of C's.
Welcome to a lot of C's. Welcome to the show, Tim. I'm excited to have you on.
Well, thank you, Brian. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So to get started, our listeners, a big part of them come from the vacation rental space, from the hospitality space. But for those that don't know you, give us a little bit of your background, where you came from, how you got into this space, and where you are today.
All right, I'm going to go back and forward real quick. Really got in this FEC space, Family Entertainment Center space, as a kid. My parents had a small miniature golf and arcade restaurant. Grew up 8 years old working in that. If it wasn't that, I was working in one of my dad's business, construction, welding, what have you. So I've been a little bit of everything. Fast forward, moved to Florida, worked for Disney for 6.5 years. So good experience with Disney, both in hospitality, service, as well as financial side of the business before I moved with my career. Got into a lot of restaurants. Fast forward a little bit further, CEO of a small family entertainment center business franchisor called Rebounders. And then actually before then, I joined the board down in South America, helped acquisition of 150 family entertainment centers and amusement parks in Colombia, Peru, and Chile that I'm a board member for down there for the Carlyle Group. So in South America, I work for the Carlyle Group, but in North America, I work for Cerberus Private Equity, where we own Boomers Parks that we've owned since June 2020. So kind of fast forwarding, that background was a lot of entertainment, a lot of restaurants, a lot of food and beverage along the way.
Wow. And that, to me, is one heck of a resume.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about entertainment and you think about entertainment centers, you guys are at the core of the whole entire thing. And you're bringing your experience from Disney into some of these smaller, but very competitive, this very competitive segment in our market. So Tell us a little bit about the projects you guys are currently working on. You're in boomers in the United States, something that's probably pretty familiar to a lot of families here. Tell us about what your current projects are. How did you get into boomers, and what is your current outlook
Sure.
into the future of boomers?
So let's just talk about how we got to where we are today and then kind of take it why we've made some switches along the way. So initially we took over in June 2020 for the bankrupt company Apex Parks Group that had 16 parks. We have 8 of those parks. We decided which ones we wanted to keep, of which are Boomers brand as well as Big Kahunas. Big Kahunas is our water parks. Boomers is our family entertainment centers. We have 6 family entertainment centers and 2 water parks. The water parks are based in Destin as well as New Jersey, which was a rebrand from the old Sahara Sands into a water park in New Jersey outside of Philadelphia, Camden, Cherry Hill area. The Boomers family entertainment centers, our corporate base is in Boca Raton, Florida, and we also have 5 other Boomers in California: Irvine, Los Angeles, East Los Angeles, Santa Maria, Livermore, and Modesto. So our focus on this when we took it over is going, we need to do something different. We want to go after and really help the guests, but who's coming into our parks? Very reviews of folks going, well, we got a lot of kids coming there. Well, that's true. We have kids coming in there. You ever walk around your parks? You ever take a look at these parks? You got a lot of adults coming through here. You got a lot of 80, 85%. I'm talking water parks and family entertainment centers. 80, 85% are tweens, teens, young adults, and corporations. So we need to give them what they want. What they want is a different experience. What they want are different foods. We want them to stay there longer. That's the name of the game in the restaurant industry. How do you get them to stay there longer and buy more, at the end of the day? And that's what this is about. You got to be able to give them what they need. So what does that mean? Well, you're always going to have staples of foods at water parks and family entertainment centers of pizzas, hot dogs, French fries, hamburgers. You really can't get away from it, but you can change it. You can make it better. You can make it taste better. Start adding flatbreads and sliders. You bring in full liquor licenses. There's a lot of different pieces that you can bring into the process that can really make them stay there. But do you have areas for them to hang out at? In water park, you do have lots of areas, cabanas, things of that nature that might be a place that they can have kind of a base or some decent dining, but you're outdoors for the most part. But also in the family entertainment center businesses, could you do something a little bit differently? Well, you can. You can add space. We've created Boomers backyards, kind of the backyard feel with grass and heaters and Edison lights and TVs, just like you would have maybe at, say, Dave and Buster's. You're going to watch some different games. We have them outside. I said, all right, this is kind of cool outside. How about we do something inside for these folks? Let's create a chill zone. So now they got a place to hang out inside. You want to stay in the air conditioning? We'll put the TVs up, but we want it to be chill. We want it to be cool. We lowered the lights. We brought in some gray colors and different tones and just made this feel nicer to hang out. But, from the water parks, we learned something about people wanting their own space. So we started putting some VIP areas in our family entertainment centers. People will rent a VIP area outside with their own TV, ceiling fan, refrigerator, some grass carpet, and some chairs to hang out for the day. And they pay extra for that because they want their own space. Kind of worked out well. So now when it's not in use for VIP, well, it's additional birthday parties that people can have outside now. So we've expanded our birthday party areas because of that. We have new areas because of groups, because of those things. We still want to make the parks look great. That was really the number one goal when we took over these parks. They were deferred for a long period of time. They weren't taken care of. The attractions weren't taken care of. The paint wasn't being painted. The ACs weren't being fixed. The bathrooms are horrendous. And I've learned in the restaurant industry that bathrooms are like the number one thing that moms will go into. And if it's bad, they won't tell you. They'll just leave or they won't ever come back. So we need to make them good. We need to remodel these things. We need to make them feel, smell good, look good, update the tile. It's not hard concepts. It really isn't. But we need to make this an experience for them. So you create the food and beverage, you create space for people to hang out, and you give them what they want in a clean environment. I shared, worked for Disney for a long period of time, always sits in the back of my mind. I always go, what would Disney do? And I put my team through Disney's Institute of Quality Service, my senior team, as well as my park managers, to understand the differences between Disney and what we're doing. We need to be different. We want to be the best FEC in the world. How do we create that? We want to do that with our water parks too. How do we create? Bathrooms still need to be clean. You got to take care of things. Trash can't be around. Things are straightened up. People can't see boxes that were just delivered. All those things that you don't want to see. You don't want to see limbs down all over the place. I'm very particular. And you want sight lines. You want to be able to see through your park. You want people to be able to see the fun on the other side of the park so they'll go travel different areas. And so these are the things that we've incorporated, but that also did something, changed our guest. The previous company was focused on discounting, heavy discounting, season passes, discounting, just get people in the door, but they weren't buying anything. What I want is someone that says, I'm going to hang out, I'm going to spend time. This is kind of cool. I can, if I'm a father, I can sit and watch games. If I'm a mother, I feel my bathrooms are clean. This place is clean. I can hang out here. I can have a good time and play, or I can just sit here if I want to. But I want to make it a place, an experience that says, I don't mind sitting here with my family. I'm having a good time. Let them have a good time versus saying, let's hurry up and go to the next place to eat. Let's hurry up and go to a better place. It's a little cleaner. I still want you to have your little fun to play on the arcade or go-karts or miniature golf, or if you're on the slides at the water parks, but I want you to hang out. If you'll hang out, then you're gonna start eating some more of my food, and you're gonna be drinking some more of my drinks, and you're gonna be having a good time. And what I see from this experience, and this is my benchmark, I look at reviews. We took over, reviews are horrible with this company. We took a snapshot of a year ago, we were in like 2.9 rating, just barely under 3. And this recently was 4.4 on Yelp and 4.4 on Google. Great. This is the messages we want to get across. But with it was the effort we've put in to create better service. Talk to my team all the time. It's eye contact with the guest. It's trying to make a relationship with the guest. If you do this, they'll buy more. They'll do more things.
I think it's fascinating because, Matt, I don't know about you. I know we both got small kids. And on my birthday this year, we decided to go to one of the smaller parks. Now, unless I'm going to a Disney or Universal, which is typically a big outing, we don't do theme parks here in Orlando because of a lot of the things that you said. Food's terrible. Yep. It's dirty. The bathrooms are disgusting. I can't let my daughter go in there without giving me anxiety, first from a security standpoint, and next, what's she going to catch in there? Food we don't touch. It just doesn't happen. And so having that thought process of how do you turn some of these smaller destinations, because they are destinations, and improving them, even for a local market like ours, where we're saturated with theme parks and things to do, we still don't have access to a place what you're talking about that has the good food, that has the good, comfortable ambience, where I could say to my family every weekend if I wanted to, first, it's affordable, and second, it's going to be good quality. So as a local, let's go and hang out. I am not a huge fan of being surrounded by a ton of tourists, but if I had the availability of a place like that, I think it would be a huge hit. Everything's so geared towards tourism and just getting dollars in, dollars out, and forgetting about the experience, that it becomes very difficult for us. I think we're almost a forgotten people within our own cities, that we can become a client if the atmosphere is the right atmosphere. You have a captive market. I don't know. You come from Destin. It's the same thing, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, yeah, in Destin, most of our attractions are built for the tourists. And look, I can appreciate that. There's a lot more of them than there are us residents. But I can tell you, as someone in Destin, and full disclosure, Explory works just with one of Tim's parks, and that of course is Big Kahuna's in Destin. But I can tell you one of the reasons we really wanted to have Tim on was because what he's talking about is not theory, right? This isn't an MBA class on turnarounds. They've done it. These 8 parks have been an incredible success story. By the way, I'm not sure if anybody caught the date. June 2020. Tough year to be buying, tough month and year to be buying family entertainment centers. But one thing you said, Tim, and I'd love to go back to it for a minute, because it's something that I find it's kind of unique. But one, we talk a lot about this. You talked about the importance of understanding who the guest is, right? And that's really important. But then towards the end, you also talked about how your guest profile changed. So as you come to the park, and I think a lot of our lodging providers can relate because a lot of them have acquired homes or hotels that, need some love and attention. How do you balance building in for the short term for the guests you have, but really building for the long term for the guests you want, because you can risk alienating the guests you currently have until, before you can get the guests maybe that you really want.
So to your point, Matt, it's a balance, right? So you've got to be able to continue to provide the guests that are coming in. So let's just think about my guests that I had coming in, very discounted oriented. They weren't buying food. They weren't buying retail. They weren't, in the case of the FECs, really playing the arcade. They just come in just to use the pass, move on. It's kind of like, get a Groupon thing. You go out, you do it. You don't do anything else. I don't want to spend any more. You still got to provide quality service. You still got to make that place look good. What was happening in these parks for 4 years, deferred maintenance, nothing was taken care of. I mean, literally nothing was taken care of. They just couldn't spend it. It was a Ponzi scheme when they had season passes coming in, because they get money in and they can't pay tomorrow. And they get more money tomorrow, they can't pay the next day. And so, that means eventually they don't pay anything. And I've looked at their previous sales where they went up year one when they decided season passes leveled off and then went down, and they just put no money in these parks. They didn't have the ability to do it. So what we said is we're going to make a commitment to make the parks look good. So we're going to make it look good. We're going to have quality products. We're going to have quality food before we put flatbreads and sliders and full alcohol licenses in different places. We still want it to have quality going in. That's what we're going to deliver to the guests. Were they happy that I eliminated season passes? Oh, no. I want my season pass back. Everybody wants their season pass. But did you guys you never run a business, so you don't know what you can and can't do with that season pass. A theme park might make sense, but it's a fraction of what their physical overall sales are, season passes. Trying to run a whole business on season passes only is not going to work in water parks. In some, maybe Disney's Typhoon Lagoon or something like that. But at the end of the day, or Volcano Bay at Universal, it doesn't work with the regional ones. It doesn't work with the FEC. So we still need to give what our guests need, which is good quality food, good experience, things are operating, bathrooms are clean. We start getting a different response from those guests. Once price, I tell my team this all the time, price never matters. Never matters. I don't, we can talk about it all day, and you're right. We don't want to alienate anybody. But at the end of the day, price never matters if the experience is right. So you got to provide the right experience, and that word gets out. Of course, we market it. Of course, we put on social media. Of course, we do different things. But at the end of the day, the word gets out. That grassroots effort gets out that says, this park's pretty cool. The things that they've done there. That then leads into other people coming into the park that maybe they haven't experienced it or ever seen it before, getting in front of them and let them know what that experience is, that this is a cool place to hang out. But to your point, you can never alienate who you have. You have to work with what you've got. Oh, I'm always on a fine line, even when I'm talking to my boss from Cerberus Private Equity. Don't make the price too much. It's like, yeah, but let me just tell you something. We went from a check average of $20, $30 per person to $54 per person, and we've done it the right way. We're holding it. Even during inflationary times, we're still holding it. That doesn't mean I don't run specials. Of course I do. But we're always trying to upsell after they come in that door.
Yeah.
But you don't ever alienate enough. And you see that fine line. When they start seeing the impression that this is getting better and better each time, I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring my friends. I'm going to tell my friends about this. Of course, we're not perfect. We're striving for it, but we've improved dramatically the reviews on our parks. We're focused on that to try to make that happen. When you start doing that and you start giving someone that experience, they tell their friends, corporations come, bigger groups come, more parties. We blow out. We actually sell out all of our parties pretty much every weekend now. We're trying to find more space in the park to put them in. They've used up all the interior. We're doing out exterior in places because it's a different environment. It's a different experience. And it's a good thing people want to get out after 2 years, right? I mean, yeah, taking over during the middle of the pandemic, frankly, sucked. It was the worst experience I've ever had. But, as they say, adversity reveals character. So hopefully I have a little character in me that we got through that. And we're able to turn the park around like a total 180. And I'm just looking forward to acquiring more, doing more with this.
So You guys are investing a ton in the parks. We're also talking about the change in the type of customer that it's attracting because the parks have improved. One topic we haven't talked about is the change in the people that actually work at the parks.
Sure.
That affects the environment entirely. And I can imagine, and we've talked a lot about that in the show, which is the company's culture.
Mhm.
In order to be able to deliver good guest experience, I would imagine that all of these improvements inside of the park has affected your staff on the ground massively.
Absolutely.
Attitudes must have changed. The way they receive the guest has changed,
Had to
and then
change.
the impact has been significant to the guest on the way that they're received. And so can we talk a little bit about the company's culture and how you guys think about, your training? I mean, you come from Disney as well. We had a good friend of mine, DeJuan Rivers from Disney. He came on and we talked about the company culture and the way that they instill education and ongoing, training. Do you guys do the same thing with your company? And how do you guys handle your company's culture?
It's a good question, and it started from day one. So when we took over the company, employee handbook, I had 10 core values that this company was going to run off of. I won't give you all of them, but I'll give you highlights of them. Number one, though, was honesty, integrity, and transparency. You guys are going to know what's going on. You're going to be honest. You're not going to steal. You're not going to lie. I'm not either, because the previous company was kind of didn't have integrity. It kind of goes back to my roots. I'm an Eagle Scout, and it's just one of those things that's always stuck with me, that you got to have that honesty, integrity, and transparency. Number two, it's guest first and team first. And I really kind of have that in reverse order. It's really team, because the team's not first, then the guests are not going to be taken care of. But the guests are not there, we're not getting paid. So that's why they're kind of together. And you start going down a line, we need to turn this business around. It's innovative, profitable growth. Innovative risk taking and profitable growth. These are two core items that we have to live by. I can go down through the list, but bottom line is we definitely need to have good partners too, strategic partnerships. That Coca-Cola we brought on day one, US Foods we brought on, but there's others that we've started to work with that are good partners for us. We do believe in social responsibility. We do give back. We open up our parks to different groups. Very big believer in an advisory board for crime survivors in Southern California. We want to help them and keep them going forward, but we do this with other groups by opening up the park. I would rather all day long give away time and space, put my hourly folks working as well as my management team working for these groups to provide them a safe environment. Crime survivors that we help in Southern California, these are individuals that have suffered serious crimes, maybe deaths in families, rapes, so forth. They need a place to go to with their family. They need a place they feel safe. We open up right before Thanksgiving, right before Christmas. We also open up near Easter. We participate and run. So we want to give back. It's part of our culture. Now, with it, how do we display this? Okay, we got these 10 core values that we go by. I talk about it every single week, every time with my management team. I reinforce it with the management team. I make sure that they understand. It's kind of I took one thing from Disney. Guys, we all have problems. We all have things at home that we've got to worry about. But when you go on stage, this is Disney, you're on stage when you pass that door. And you need to think that way. That means maybe acting. You're acting. You want to make sure it's a good environment, and you're acting on behalf of your guests that are there. They don't care that you just had a bad day. I'll give you a prime example. I had to go to an emergency room the other night. I come in, I'm in pain. I mean, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and it was a point where my hand was swelling up, and it's like I need something because my hand is like I can't feel the end of my fingers. And the lady comes in and says, "Oh, I'm in pain too." That's trying to check me in. It's like, really? I'm here to get help. I'm not here to help you necessarily. Thank you for sharing that with me. Frankly, I don't care. I'm in pain. I need to be taken care of. Now, does that sound conceited? Maybe it does, because I'm at a hospital to be taken care of. So the guest feels the same way when you go out on stage. You may have problems. You may have to divorce. You may have whatever. You may have an abusive relationship. But when you go out on stage, you're trying to make that guest smile. And it was the interesting thing. I do team events, meaning like a town hall. I go to each of the parks and I talk to the team. My job, my goal is once a quarter to talk to every park everybody, hourly, management. I separate them at the end. Hey, what's right? What's wrong? What can we do better? But I listen. And one thing that came out that I was really interesting, actually two things. One was what they would like, a career path. You think about it, we go up in businesses, we do different things. We all have our own goals, but some people just don't know what that next level is if they came out of high school or whatever. So we've built a career path and we're rolling that out. We're putting it into the break rooms. They can understand what's going on. We're going to give them an area. Hey, you want to become a park manager or regional somewhere down the road? We'll show you how to get there. It's over a period of time, but we'll show you, we'll create mentorships for them. But one thing was really interesting. I thought, why do you work here? Why do you work at Big Kahunas? Why do you work at Boomers? And they said, it's the team and the smiles we see on the guest face. That's what makes me want to work here. Interesting. So guys, when you go out on stage, remember that. This is why you're here. You're trying to make a smile with these individuals. And by doing the core values and getting them to understand this whole process, it sticks with them. Of course, we have them everywhere. We have them laminated all behind the scenes, sometimes in some of the guest areas as well. You can see it. I'll tell you that what the core values are, but we talk about it every week. And it's just, in the beginning, it was Tim beating, the drum. And now I got management involved. I got hourly individuals involved. It's becoming ingrained. Doesn't happen overnight. I will say 4 times of opens and closes with the pandemic didn't help this whole process, but we're getting there. We continue to work on it, but it's not something you just stick out there. If you got core values, it's something everyone needs to know and why. I explain what each one means. I start interrelating, what is, profitable, team build, team experience, what are some of the things we have to look at? And I get them to think about this more and more. Is it exactly where I want it to be? No. Did I know I was going to have to make some management changes over time? Oh yeah. But those things happened. People are on board. We have a good structure. I believe people are really believing in it. And the idea here is it will sustain. It'll sustain well past Tim Murphy or, this group. And that's what I want this to be with Boomers Parks, because that is ultimately what's going to be the success of Boomers, is following the core values. And that changes the culture. And by people believing in it, because not everyone believed it, not everybody wanted to do it. This is work. Think about this. I have to be honest, transparent. No one was ever transparent before. We never really took care of the guests. We just kind of served them. No, it's got to change. You got to think about every guest as a guest, every team member as a guest. How do we help them? We want to be the employer of choice for our team. And we've put a lot of different benefits in where we're now giving them meals for everything over 5-hour shifts they work. They have snacks for under 5 hours. It's things that maybe they were taking before, but at the end of the day, I want them to have that ability, but it's also allow us to control costs too. We know exactly what we're giving away and what we're doing, but we're helping our team members. We're giving lots of different benefits to the full-time staff as well. So we want to be employer of choice. We want to be the best in the family entertainment water park industry and striving for that. I don't know if that helps. I hope that does. So.
Yeah, no, I think
it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
I think, Matt, one of the things that to me struck home is guest smiles, and that is all about hospitality. If you being on stage, so
Yeah.
Disney instilled something in me when I did training, and I worked at a few of the parks. I did Blizzard Beach, and I did all of that kind of stuff, and it was always getting on stage, forgetting about who you really are and
Right.
everything about the guest and making them smile. And that stuck with me until today. And that's really why I'm in hospitality. I think one thing that, whether we're working vacation rentals, hotels, theme parks, or anything like that, really we chose this industry because we're in it for the guests. We love an aspect of the industry, and that to me is seeing a guest smile. More than the adults, for me, it's the kids. If a parent texts me and they're like, oh my God, my kids absolutely loved your house. You have been the best host ever. Sometimes I'm at dinner and I receive these texts and I show them to my wife and I'm like, this is, despite everything bad that's happening throughout the day, this absolutely made my day.
Yep.
And that's why I'm in it.
Yeah.
So if you can make people smile at the end of the day, right? I mean, and it's a different mentality, right? I keep thinking sometimes when I talk to some of my park managers, because I've been to all my parks after hours, during daylight, whatever it might be. And I go, the lights are out here at night. Do you guys walk your park? Do you look at that? But these little things is what a guest sees, right? How do you make it extra special? That they're not going to care that the lights are on off, right? But they're going to notice if it's off. But the little things, the cracks in sidewalks, the rips and tears, and maybe miniature golf, or you didn't paint something correctly in one of the water parks. It's like people understand that, but if they feel really good about coming out there, it's so much easier to smile with them when you walk past them and go, I feel pride and I have sense of ownership in this location. And that's what all team members need.
Yeah.
If let's take the sense of pride, are they all there? No. But we're working on it. We're going to strive for perfection. We're never going to hit it, but we're going to keep striving for perfection, because the more that we do that, I know what happens when I look at the ultimately EBITDA bottom line, it increases, and that's why I tell my team, you know what? Price never matters. If we were only just talking about price in an inflationary period, okay, it's one thing. Okay. But if you're going to show them an experience, they're going to remember that, because they're very discerning where their dollars go now. So if you're really thinking about how to create a better experience, price will never matter. They don't care how much you spent, as long as they remember they walked away with a really good time. Name of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we used to say when I was in the restaurant industry, price is the lowest form of loyalty, right? So the minute the economy takes a little bit of a turn, the minute there's a little bit of a hiccup in someone's personal life, you're the first one to go, or just the minute there's a competitor who's willing to charge less, even at a point where they can't make money, they're going to leave you. But if you're providing that experience and that value, and I think that's really what we're getting to, it's less about price and more about value. If I feel like my dollar's going further, then I'm willing to spend more. The restriction on price, I think, is when you feel like you're overpaying for the experience that you're getting. Tim, as we look to wrap up, one might suggest that while a really tough part of getting these 8 parks turned around, is really, really difficult. Maybe even a more difficult part would be, you've now set that expectation, right? And so now you got to figure, okay, where do we go from here? Where before it might have been, well, there's one direction we can go. It's just a question of, how much better can we make it? But we're going to make it better. But now you got these parks, and I'm sure, to your point, some are humming better than others, but you've got them, we're a couple years later now. So what are you guys looking to do as you move forward? How do you continue to not reinvent the parks, but continue, to give people new and exciting reasons to come and spend their money? What are the things that you guys are focused on now that you've reached this point in I think the evolution of this turnaround?
Okay, so I'll say 3 things, 3 main things that we're focused on. 1, continuing to provide better quality food and retail products that we can put out for folks. The more that we do, the more we elevate the brand. So that's number 1. Number 2, there are attractions that we do want to put in, but it's not like I want to go buy something off of a black box and put something in my park. A lot of people sell their wares. We're actually trying to create some different things in augmented reality, very unique things I think we can patent and put in our parks, and that could be water parks as well. So that's number 2. And number 3, we're frankly focused on, I'll say even 2 sets of this. 1, we want to acquire more parks and turn them into boomers. If there's a good water park that's a decent price, we'll look at that too. The reasons, the differences between, and just kind of pointing it out right there, between family entertainment and water parks is, water parks, you have 6 times the amount of employees as far as space, repairs and maintenance, supplies, harder control. And when you have weather can really impact overall operations, where an FEC can run 12 months out of the year. So we'll continue to look at that, but we will look at acquiring. And we're, since I've done a lot of franchising in my career, we'd like to franchise our brand of boomers. There are 5,200 FECs in the United States. We have 6. So there's a few opportunities, I think, in front of us to maybe look at. Even you look at Dave & Buster's, what do they got, 146? So it's not huge. There's a lot of opportunities. We can take a small park, turn it into what we do. The FECs are those that are your local park you're going to go to hang out. We want it to be the best experience. And Brian, to your point, love to have one in Orlando, since I live in Orlando too. But we are looking at something pretty close to Orlando. Not right here, but there are definitely some opportunities to acquire. And then ultimately, we'd like to franchise what we do. We believe We've worked in 8 different markets. We've figured out how to turn them around. And it's about guest experience. It's about quality. It's about good food. And then I think, the world is ours. And that's kind of how we're looking at it, Matt.
I can't wait to see what you guys do here.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, isn't it? It is going to be exciting.
It's going to be fun.
Hey, Tim, if people want to get a hold of you guys, maybe they've got family entertainment centers that might be a good acquisition target for you guys, or interested in maybe that franchising model coming up or what have you. What's the best way to do that?
Hey, email me directly, Tim, Tim at boomers, BOOMERSPARKS.com.
Excellent. Well, hey, Tim, I know this took us a while to get this all put together. We wanted to get it done last year, but I'm glad that right as we kick off summer, I think this is a great episode, and wish you guys the best of luck. I realize that, with most of them being the family entertainment centers, they are open year round, but I got to believe there's still a pretty good seasonality to some of that business over the summer. So wish you and the team the best of luck, and really do appreciate your time and know you're busy.
Well, hey, Matt, Brian, really enjoyed it. Hopefully your listeners get something out of this, but always happy to reach out if anyone wants to talk to me about it. So
great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
That's it for this week's episode of GuestX. Be sure to sign up for our email list at guestxpodcast.com. That's guest, the letter X, podcast.com. And follow us on your favorite podcast app so that you never miss an episode. We are Mr. Guest Experience Brian Hamaui and Matthew Loney signing off and reminding you to always create a customer experience worth talking about.
This podcast is a Hospitality.fm production.